Hello everyone. My name is Jayashree and I'm a high school economics teacher. Don't worry, I'm not here to lecture you today. However, by default, I do have a lesson objective to chuckle or not to chuckle. So let's begin with a case study. Picture this my economic class, we are having a serious discussion on how to break the poverty cycle of an LEDC. And suddenly, I hear a roar of laughter, obviously coming from my favorite backbenchers. So, as a regular irritated teacher, I say the most cliche dialogue. Hey, you, what's happening? Come, share the joke with us so that we can all laugh together. And the student actually walks up to me and tells me the joke. While the humor was appreciated, I had to respect the flow of the class and divert everyone's attention back to the topic at hand. The disruptor, however, had to face consequences. So, using my sadistic humor, I sentenced him to detention during his games time, where he had to write a 500-word essay on how to break the poverty cycle of an LETC. While he could show his expertise there, I had to show my expertise in adulting. I'm not saying I'm bad at adulting, but at times I feel maybe that's the dumbest thing I've ever done. We as teachers are expected to keep a poker face most of the time, even though we are dying to laugh inside. So, after a little bit of meditation and long conversations with my principal, I finally mastered the art of composure. Yes, turns out it's a very important quality for adulting, especially when most of the time you're the only adult in the room. This brings me to my first inquiry question. Why does humor change as we age? You see, as an infant, your laugh is so pure and infectious. Even as a toddler, it's so cute and music to your ears. And then we hit puberty. And suddenly, your laughter sounds like a dog who's being choked, ki, to that of a giant, ha ha ha. And the best part is, each one finds the other person funny. Humor as a teenager is mostly a life saving skill where you laugh only to be in the cool squad or maybe in the same group. But then you become adults. Yes, the moment you become adult, laughter becomes a Veblen good. For those who don't know what this term means, it's a super luxury product where the demand increases as the price increases. Yes, as an adult, you have to pay a high price for laughter, especially when you're laughing at the wrong place and the wrong time. Okay, so now let's move on to the real irony. The real irony is that most of the time we only find something funny because someone else is laughing at it. And maybe that's the reason as an adult, mostly we laugh at a WhatsApp forward or a meme, which again talks about how tired we are. And at my age, I have to be very careful of how hard I laugh because most of the time I do pull a muscle. Sad but true. Don't be surprised if I tell you that there are many in this room who have gone to bed on some days without a single laugh. That's the price you pay for adulting. Let's move on to some data. Forbes have reported that their highest earning comedians bring in around $272 billion in the economy. The Economic Times has also reported that India's live comedy market is valued at around 30 crores, with regional comedy poised to grow at around 25%. And it's supporting 300 to 400 full time comedians, actually showing a thriving industry. Okay, too much of statistics. Pipe down, economics teacher. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is to explore our next question. Why this sudden obsession with stand up comedy? Why would you pay someone and sit there as a live audience to watch somebody make fun of someone else? After a lot of thinking and overthinking, I realized that we are slowly becoming a generation of loners, where we are missing out on fun moments with friends and family. Let's be honest, no one can roast us better than our parents. In my case, it's my mom. She has this uncanny talent of delivering mic drop comments where every life lesson turns into a subtle burn. For instance, one day I was having a casual discussion with my sister, talking about having autonomy so that we make good life choices. And I hear my mom from the puja room, mid prayer, as clear as a bell. I hope you're not talking about your life choices. We've seen how that's turned out. Yes, that's where I get my sense of humor. That's my family comedy. Now, moving on to our friends who can roast us mercilessly, out of love, of course. I'm sure when I'm saying this, you are remembering that one friend who's been with you for a long time and who has a photographic memory of every embarrassing stuff that you've ever done. I too have one. I too have that one friend, and she will always remember the things that are embarrassing. For instance, that one time, just once, I wore a neon dress thinking I was making a bold fashion statement. And that friend of mine still remembers all the comments I got that day. Who called me a highlighter, who called me a post it. Yeah, it's funny now, but it hurt back then. But let's face it, the more cringeworthy the moment, the louder the laughter years later. Yet, today we are paying someone else to do the same thing that used to come so naturally at the dinner table or late night hangouts. Laughter with friends is pure gold. But when the same joke is cracked by someone whom you don't like, suddenly that laughter or that joke becomes a slow burning insult. It's not about laughing anymore, it's about planning a savage comeback. Comedy becomes strategy, and revenge becomes the punchline. Humor is everywhere, in memes, in sitcoms, in my economic class, even better, my students' answer script. And yes, and yet we still see more frowns than smiles. That's because sometimes I think we don't have people to laugh with. And it's because we prefer texting than actually hanging out. Welcome to the age of supersonic Wi Fi, but zero emotional bandwidth. And now let's move on to our generation who is so focused on being sad all the time. It's like they've forgotten how to laugh. Have you seen a teenager's wardrobe? I have one at home. The only shades I see in that closet is black, white, grey. Even if you go and attend any art exhibition, you will definitely find that one piece which has overflowing, deep, dark emotions. Of course, those are brilliant masterpieces, but sometimes I wish I could see a bright flower or a happy little butterfly. Okay, I don't think anybody paints butterflies and flowers anymore. Most of the art that I see is a virtual representation of my tax returns. Even entertainment has become so sad. You have these tragic backstories and sorrowful piano solos, and this one person crying in the rain saying, "Life is pain." Okay, I watch sad content too. Murder mysteries. Yes, nothing says quality me time than me munching popcorn and rooting for the detective to catch the sociopath. Yes, I watch serial killers for entertainment. But that's because people don't make good shows anymore. The shows that used to be my therapy. Shows like Friends. How many of you here love the series Friends? Please raise your hand. Thank you. My favorite line from the series, humor based on my pain. It's that kind of a line that you laugh at, but secretly you're nodding in agreement because, let's face it, nothing spices comedy quite like a touch of misery. Turns out, suffering is not just poetic, it's also hilariously relatable. So, when was the last you laughed so hard that your stomach hurt? I recall a quote by Alfred Tennyson, who says, "You can tell a lot about a person by what they laugh at." This quote is an evaluation of sense of humor. The things that you find funny can speak a lot about your character, your values, and your worldview. I had a similar discussion with some of the boys here during a dinner where they just couldn't wrap around their head as to why their comments were body shaming or sexist. They are brilliant defense. We say what we see. That's when it hit me. Okay, they had to go through a series of meals with me where I had to explain what counts as a joke and what's better left unsaid. I told them the same thing that my teacher told me when I was young, that if you see a stray hair somewhere or something smudged on the face and a person can fix it in less than 30 seconds, please mention it. But if there's something that a person cannot fix in 30 seconds, like your voice, your accent, your personality, then let's not embarrass them by bringing it up. Comedy without boundaries often leads to consequences without mercy. We have a spectrum of comedy, from the silliness of slapstick to the cleverness of dark humor. And yet, we choose to degrade humor by limiting it to a personal attack. Of course, you can't get away with it anymore. Remember the kitty party aunties who used to champion body shaming like primetime entertainment? Well, they now have their tongue tied for the fear of being hashtag cancelled, a term I learned from my niece. And then we had the oh so proud male chauvinist who would have cracked a sexist joke maybe years ago, but now he's quiet for the fear of starring a storm on Twitter, ex Twitter, now X, whatever. Then we have that one person whose comment cuts deeper than a samurai sword. And then he just brushes it off saying, I was joking. And it makes you think, does he need therapy or maybe a thesaurus for good humor? Or maybe dark humor is his way of dealing with life. And of course, we have the political humor. Let's not go anywhere there. I don't want to debate my jokes in the court. So, this brings me to my final inquiry question. Does humor need an ethical filter? Absolutely. Cracking a joke today feels like navigating a minefield. You have to be very careful what you're saying, where, when, how. One wrong word, and suddenly laughter will be met with dreaded silence. Timing and context will decide whether you are the life of the party or a party pooper. Humor should shake up perspectives, not human dignity. Yes, satire should provoke thought, but it should never leave somebody feeling like a meme. Okay, then what's the best kind of humor that would work in a room full of people from different backgrounds? $1 million question. It's like finding that one song that everyone can dance to at a wedding. Tricky, but not impossible. My safest bet would be go for observational comedy, something that is based on human experiences like our struggles with technology. The other perfect option would be self deprecating humor. It's anytime funny to laugh at your own jokes and show some humility. Humor can build bridges, provided we don't burn them accidentally. Yes, cracking a joke today still needs strategy. First, you need to take away yourself from that situation, change your perspective, then run it to the sacred checklist. Is your joke free of misogyny, body shaming, racism, sexism, political and communal bias? If it is, laugh it out. If no one is getting offended with your joke, congratulations, you've mastered clean humor. Humor is basically a delicate art, one part timing, two part kindness. Now, let's move on to a reflection question. To chuckle or not to chuckle? Haven't we seen those movies where the main character suddenly starts laughing as a maniac when the pain becomes unbearable? This only proves that laughter is a strong human emotion. Whether you are blissful, whether you're in agony, or just utterly broken. To laugh is to celebrate life and life's beauty. And yet we laugh so little. I read somewhere that laughter is the best gift you can give yourself, provided you choose to be happy. So what if the choice comes with an opportunity cost? Adulting feels like a recession of fun, where you're stuck, and humor becomes a rare commodity. The stakes are even higher for us economics teachers who have to go through wrongly labeled graphs and confusion between micro and macro. At that time, finding humor is like a GDP boost. Teaching at times makes laughter feels like a luxury good. Expensive, but investment in this sector will definitely give you a high returns. So laugh at the chaos, giggle at the errors. Don't think that you have to be stuck at the equilibrium. Let the invisible hand spread joy and laughter in the market of misery. Finally, remember, life is too short to be serious all the time. So if you can't laugh at yourself, call me. I'll laugh at you. Thank you.